Michael, it's a pleasure to have you on this platform for a conversation. I've been digging into your work for a while, and for the listener and the viewer that is not familiar with your journey, and I love the parallels that we have. You were in New York, I was in Chicago. You were working in this high-powered, very, very stressful job. 72 people were let go. I was working at the Chicago Tribune, and we had 65 people let go. I had no idea it was coming. It was a total sideswipe. You had a similar situation, but it was you realized it was happening for you, not to you, didn't you?
Yes, it was a blessing in disguise, and I would have done the Toyota jump for joy, but it wouldn't have been appropriate in the when it happened.
Right. But so for you now, being an angel intuitive and a teacher, and you've worked with Omega and the Shift Network and all over your teachings and your books, you get these downloads, but this happened over time. It wasn't like one morning you woke up and all of a sudden you had the entire cliff notes ready to go and what the angels are saying. Over the years, this was happening for you, and it took a while for you to trust it. Is that right?
Absolutely. It's been like maybe 10 to 12 years and a lot of getting woken up at middle of the night, like 2, 3, 4 a.m. I think my cat, I had an orange cat back then named Macy, was a lot braver. She would head out to the living room. I would roll over in bed. So not the best, fastest student on the uptake, but eventually you got to pay attention. Even if I went to the living room, I'd put on MTV, an old mute black and white movie. And I'd still try to resist, but the movie would be a guardian angel movie, or the song would be that song by Dragonette, hello, hello, hello. I just came by to say hello. So I had a lot of like synchronicity that would force me to pay attention. And I
Right.
even grabbed a sure shot camera to take photos and got some beautiful photos of angels, fairies, and so on that I share with folks.
So I love how you say that our brain is bossy. And it's like holding the clipboard. It's the regulator with the clipboard. And yeah, we have to have this human suit. We're here in the third dimension. We got to get through it. There you are with your clipboard. But how can we bypass that to get into our heart? Because I love how much your message is about the self-love piece, and that we can't really get into service without, we can't give what we don't have. I say that all the time. So filling up our cup with the self-love piece allows us then to be in service, but it's a really hard thing. It's like a chicken egg conversation.
You're right. It's hard. It's easy. It's whatever a person will make it or allow for in the moment. And so, probably smiling, breathing, fastest way to get here. A mindfulness practice, meditation practice. There's about a million ways to get to here. I'm going to argue that half of what you do each day unconsciously counts as
Mhm.
being here, but the brain's not going to give you any credit for it. You make that salad just the right way. You do yoga, you go for a walk, the way you hug your dog, you're there. You'll never recognize it unless you really slow down. But there's another way to say it, which is just thinking something takes you away from the flow of life, which is your heart.
Right. I've had the pleasure of experiencing your work, and you talk a lot about the angelic realm, and some of them are these divine beings, like, like Jesus, but you also have like Geronimo and Audrey Hepburn and Heather and these different sort of deities that people can call on. And I like to explain it to my community that it's like if God is the CEO, you have all these different departments. And it's important to go sometimes to the PR, sometimes you just got to go straight to maintenance. Do you really want to go right to the big G, the big boss, or do you want to just pick a department because they all work under the same deity, which is the big G or the divine? So pick a department, and they all have different specialties and skills. Would that be accurate?
Definitely. And you can do God. I don't get a chance to do God too often. I just describe it as all voices at once,
Mhm.
simultaneously. You just need to be sailing along on the angel part. It would be like loved ones. You can meet a passed over loved one, but you got to own it solo first. You got to meet some angels first, hear that it's okay to meet the loved one. And it's the same deal for doing this as a group in a group. So you can have group seeing, group hearing, just got to be here first, get used to checking in with your own plumbing, your electricity, your abilities, and just trusting you've already got it all within.
So I talk a lot about the healing hygiene in my spiritual social club and having a certain process. So share with the audience what your process is to get started, to get plugged in when you start your day, and how then you protect yourself. I don't want to say protect like it's like you got a big shield yourself, but how you shut down, if you will, when you end the day. What's your process?
Well, I'm going to make it really simple. How about just smile more, think less, breathe more, think less,
Mhm.
throw in a bunch of other stuff. Let go, worry less. You can do a request. I only have one bit of structure, and that's address angels. You don't have to be of any sort of persuasion, this country, that country, philosophical background. Just address angels. They come in all shapes, sizes, colors, all sorts of backgrounds. They're just here to help. You have free will. And I believe everyone is perfect the way they are. So you just request that help. Angels, help me out of my head, into my heart, make today smoother, help me get some more humor. If you want to get detailed, great. If you just want to say, sock it to me, I could use a lot more love and sparkle. Amen, rock and roll, thank you, whichever way you roll. You're from India, say Om Sai Ram. You have to find your own patented method of letting go and requesting the universe to do its job. It's a little bit like The Alchemist or Seth from the 1970s or Peaceful Warrior. All three talk about how there are universal forces in place to kind of handle everything. Even Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, four sources talk about that. That's what this is. Just let the universe do its job. Get out of your own way, out of here, into your heart to allow more.
You have some beautiful artwork on your website. I suggest that everybody go there to check it out as well. A lot of it is for sale. The images include your passion for flowers and nature. How important is it for so many people that are in these concrete jungles and they don't get out of the 5G towers that they live near to get to nature? I mean, you speak about that even just in the work you do one-on-one with clients. You have them close their eyes and picture the beach that really kind of brings them to that peaceful place. It is so important for our mental health, but also for our physical health, isn't it?
It's a great way to reconnect. And if anyone's feeling more lost or it's difficult or you're like, one day I will, you find things hard, the best, fastest way to reconnect is one way touching water. It could be your shower. It could be just putting on, My Tranquility, the channel that has all the meditative ocean shots, Caribbean, Bora Bora, letting it play for 5 hours in the place, hearing the waves over and over again. You could do a meditative practice where you, again, let angels, the universe, bring it onto your eyelids. Suddenly you feel like you're in the Caribbean again. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but yes, getting outdoors, doing trips, mountains, rivers, ocean, the more the merrier.
You lost your father. He was only, oh gosh, you were only two when he passed away. And you write about that in your website too. So I encourage people to go there to read the full story. But also your mother was very young when she passed. And with these significant losses, you obviously there was some trauma that you've worked on that you've been addressing through the work that you do in the spiritual realm. But they're always there. I mean, you can always talk to them and you have that kind of relationship with spirit. How do you recommend to maybe somebody who might be listening to this conversation or watching this? How do you recommend they connect by getting to that place of surrender where they can start hearing the messages for themselves?
Yeah, I've lost two parents. The second, my mom passed when I was turning 23, and my dad, same name, passed when I was two, off the coast of Italy. Both were supposed to pass when they did. Hundreds of people have met them, heard them, seen them. And my message is first, we think it's the other side, the afterlife, it's something big. They're just here with you, in and around you. They're cheering you on. But good luck getting out of our thinking what we know, our busy week, our iPhone, to pay attention extra. So don't try too hard with any of this. 7% less thinking a week, is quoting an angel named Charlotte, is the Olympic gold medal for letting go, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. 7% less thinking up here, being here. Find a way. I think that's an hour and a half if you get a calculator each day, each week. That's when you can pay attention more. If you want signs, ask for signs. You're full on able to hear them. For a lot of us, we fire off all our energy one way, and we're not paying attention to, is it a good energy or a lower vibe, a higher vibe? We're going to get it back. So the more you can be aware of the flow that's up here versus the flow that's here, consciousness, awareness, love, sparkliness, versus resistance, fear, worry, stress. It doesn't mean all thinking's bad, but when your thinking's good, you're usually down here. You're creative, imagining, so on. So the more you can pay attention, the more the universe can work with you, the more suddenly the entire realm of possibility opens up. You have a unique life path, and that's what angels can come in and help shape. So yes, your relatives are here to cheer you on, your angels, guides, if you're from India, India figures, Native American chiefs, you name it.
Yeah. So for the empath community and a lot of people who have intuitive abilities really are empathic and they feel more than they speak. They just could walk into a room and suddenly it feels like pea soup and like somebody must have had a wicked fight and they don't know why they feel off. but that's energy. And you've said before, I love this, I wrote it down. The more you use words, the more you restrict outcomes. So what will you allow? I mean, and that's it. It's allow. Intention is everything. So when people say to me, well, if you don't keep trying and keep trying and keep trying, then you're going to give up and then you'll give up your dreams. And I tell people, well, no, sometimes you have to take the hint and maybe the door is slamming shut because you're supposed to go over here to a different path and that the universe wants you to try something else. So it isn't about force. It's that difference between power versus force. And like that book by David Hawkins. So how do you recommend that people embrace more their trusting the feelings that they're getting? It's one thing to have them, but it's another thing to trust them.
Look, Yoda in all the Star Wars movies said no try. Archangel Gabriel says always try. They're both correct. It's beyond words. So
Mhm.
whatever's beyond words, it's going to be here. You're the only one who can first find the treasure map, and the X on the map is the treasure, which is here. It's you. You have to learn how to find your heart and know how to hit the heart button more often to flip that switch. It's the switch on the wall, except upside down. When you're off, you're up here. When you're on, you're here. All the good moments in life, all the loving, all the happening, the good occurrences happen when you're here. So it's just learning to allow more, love more. The more you give yourself a break, the more the natural you that never went away from childhood or when you were 15, the soccer field, to in your 20s, that career where you always got a yes, everything you touched materialized into success. You never lost that. It's love isn't everything. Open your eyes to see love, as the Big Mary said. And so it's a constant, only thinking something can pull you out of the game of life and your heart. And we all do a lot of thinking. So it's Casablanca, the casino scene. I'm shocked to see there's gambling or thinking going on in this casino. We do a lot of this. It's not going away for us. So give yourself a break on all of it. Find a way to put your feet up and relax more, breathe more, and start to appreciate, allow, grow your awareness, not your thinking.
What angels are working for you the most right now in your day to day? Who are your go-tos?
Well, I mean, I've got a tight kind of crew, but there's a lot of angels. There's a Joy, who's the emotion Joy, super
Uh-huh.
close. If I'm anything, I'm enthusiasm. You got to take me with a grain of salt. There's a Charlotte, who's been around the block, a teacher-like figure.
Mhm.
I'll put up my guardian angel silhouette.
Very
But
good.
the cover of my book, Listening to Angels, is Charlotte and Min, the one you're seeing here. And they're more metallic balls of light. So there's no one way about the photographs. And just to
Right.
make people laugh, I'll put up four archangels: Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, and I'll put up a fairy. It's Ginger, who's a lot of fun.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the photos are really nice. They'll move. You can use them to listen and to feel relaxed, but you can also just see directly. And that's something people have done collectively or in a group jointly.
Right. Yeah. And it's so interesting too, because I know you do workshops, but just in our one-on-one, when you were holding up a couple of the photos, I literally saw the eyes move. And you start to think, wait a minute, are my eyes playing tricks on me? Look, miracles are possible. They happen all the time. It's when time and space are bent just for you. Those are the words of Carolyn Mace. I can't claim those words, but they're beautiful and they're real. That's a beautiful picture of Audrey Hepburn. It's
And people
beautiful.
can let an eyebrow go up. She'll smile for you, wink, shoulder waggle. You get the
Mhm.
idea. Just pause this and go back and let her do her job.
Yeah. Well, there's also too just those little winks that happen in life. And one of the things that you reminded me of in when we had our session together was that in life, when the synchronicities just start to flow and that somebody opens the door and you sit down and you actually sit and you have these conversations with earth angels that were placed right there just for you to evolve and think of something like that light bulb moment. Aren't they just kind of placed like breadcrumbs throughout our journey?
The more you slow down, the more you pay attention, the simpler everything gets. You'll walk a smoother path. Uh, your opportunities for growth will become more apparent. But let's back up. You and I have gotten laid off, and the first thing that came out of our mouths is not usually, hey, this is my opportunity for growth. It's more panic or like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting this. And most of us say, my problem is, my situation is. And we're not willing to get going with immediate, like, oh, wow, let's make this happen. You should have started another business by now. And this is why you're getting kicked out of the nest at the old job.
Mhm. So how do we then straddle this the twofold of the dimensions? And I mean, I know what to do, but a lot of times you can't get out of the basic need for, oh my gosh, I've got to make sure the heat stays on. I mean, there's a lot of times where people get into surrender so much so, but it turns into entitlement. I'm seeing this a lot with people in, younger generations. I hate to say it, but you know, my dad was kind of old school and it was like, hey, put in your time, do your work. And when hard work does pay off eventually, is what I've always been taught. But I think there's a lot of this spiritual world, and Carolyn Mace talks about this all the time. She's tired of the crunchy bunch that just wants to sit around and manifest and have everything land in their lap. So how can we manifest like working, smarter, not harder, but still putting in the effort that is required to get the results?
A couple different, responses here. One is, this is one of those things that you have to get to your heart and into that heart space to get back to your authentic self, the original self, the part of you that you never lost, if you want to view it as your childhood 10 years ago or something like that. You have a unique life path, a lot of thinking, conditioning, belief system, value system. I wouldn't want to change anybody's thinking, but your likes and your dislikes are essentially, that's not what this is about. This is about unconditional love, greater awareness, harmonizing more with what you came in to do this lifetime. So maybe it's about learning to pay attention more. Again, 7% less thinking a day is all we're talking about. So find a way to have a practice or a few practices for an hour and a half a day that is not the usual being up here. And the rest will sort itself out. Before bed is a great time to make requests. First thing in the morning, too, when you're kind of foggy before you know your name. Catch what you can catch. I mean, look, the universe's instruction, everything around you and within you is your instruction. You just have to keep expanding. There's unlimited room for growth and expansion for each of us, period. So no matter how much you're a New York Times bestseller already, I mean, that's getting stuck in roles, failures, accomplishments just hold you back from further growth.
Right. And labels and all of those things. And like, oh, I always tell people when I start working with them, I ask them, what is your why? And your what, right? Because then don't worry about the how. The universe and God will worry about the how. But let's talk about what your why is and what your what is. Why do you want to write a book? Well, because I've always known I was going to have a best-selling book. Okay, that sounds like ego. Let's put that aside here. That the what is you want to write a book. Why? Well, because I think I have important stories that might help people. Okay, that's something I can get behind. Then I'm, because I ghostwrite for people who aren't writers. And I always ask, this might not be a fit. If you're just out there because you are, destined to have a bestseller, sounds to me like some bruises are, popping up and you think that this book will solve all the problems. There's not a single job or a single accomplishment that are going to solve the bruises of your wounded childhood. I've seen that a lot. Do you see that sometimes in your work too, where people think, oh, if I could just teach this class at this place, it would make everything okay?
I would just slice right through to say you can have angels, Native American chiefs, your relatives show up in sort of a closed eye setting, and you can see the book or hear about what the best projects are for you. Like the universe can get really hands on. So let's just jump it a little further. And if you want, I can blow a little sage later.
Heck
Um,
yeah.
you can see angels in full on human form. So that means you're going to the supermarket down the block. You've set it up though. You've set your intent. This is about setting your intent. A lot of us don't even understand what that means, even if we've read about it in a book. But you know it as an athlete, an artist, a musician. We just are so compartmentalized that we don't understand that the same act of letting go on the athletic front, making our famous Caesar salad that everybody loves, is the same level of letting go, which is a nothing level. It's so simple to let go and allow, but we
Mhm.
think it's so much more complex. We have to have a deep spiritual practice. That's what this is about, is acknowledging the simplicity of it all and that it's already right here, right now. Think of Bethany Hamilton and Soul Surfer and how it took a while during the movie or the book for her to come to terms with losing her arm to the shark. And yet in the movie, I think it was well, whoever it was for the actress playing her mom, she comes out of the water and she goes, Mom, I figured it all out. Like, it's no big deal. I can do surfing tournaments again. I'm not limited by this. What do I do now? And her mom was like, now live and love and grow, essentially.
Right.
So I think it's far simpler. You just think about all the complexity we make up here. We react to things, we reject things, we know to the preclusion of possibility. That's the knowing I'm doing, everyone's doing, that all of which changes either moment to moment, year to year, decade to decade, and all of it blocks actual potential. So the less you know, the further you go, the more you glow.
Nice. I love it.
Exactly.
I love the rhymes. I always say, make your light tight and bright. Let's go. Let's blow some sage. So for those who are just listening to the audio, we will describe what is happening. Because you, Mike, you do this in your videos as well and in your conversations, and we did this before the session, but it's fascinating how you can be lighting sage, which you're doing right now in the shell, and you've got the feather. And as you blow the sage in the direction of the camera, the person on the other end can very often, and those who are listening to this, just close your eyes, not if you're driving, but close
And
your
on radio. People have gotten it by radio as well. So I've lit some sage. There's I think it's an abalone shell. It looks rainbow-like. And there's a blue Crate and Barrel tea light holding the Juniper Ridge sage. I'm not sponsored, but really
Yeah.
consistent sage you can get at Whole Foods. There's smoke and a red-tailed hawk feather blowing it through. Catch what you can catch. Some intuitives taste it on their mouth. If your schnoggin is blocked, you'll still smell it. Think of it as energy getting around the blocked nose.
Mhm.
But if you're going gangbusters here, why not? If there are really no limits in life, maybe there are really no limits.
Mhm.
Why not ask for flowers on top of the sage smoke and get flowers? Let the universe bring you something more. What will you allow for on any of this? Any of our topics is the real rub. You know what you know, and put that down on a piece of paper, and then put a big, just happy circle with a smiley face. That's unlimited possibility and where you want to go in life. What's holding you back? Only you, only a little bit or a lot of thinking.
Mhm.
So play that over, check it out. You can catch Sage anytime you want. You may be watching this 2 years in the future. Guess what? Time is a construct of the mind.
Mhm.
Good luck allowing for that. You still got to show up on time to work.
That darn third dimensional stuff gets us all the time, doesn't it?
Exactly.
When did you start noticing that your day to day was involved with the angel communication? When it just was like you said, like brushing your teeth, you don't even think about it. When did it become an automatic for you?
I mean, I jumped into it and was cool with allowing for it pretty quickly. I'd had little things happen throughout like my childhood and on, but those aren't really that important. I'm gonna give you a quick like war story, except peace story, love story. When
Okay.
Joy first showed up hardcore, not like a little ball of light. I'm in my living room of my first Austin, Texas house. I'm gonna have to guess 2011, 2012
Mhm.
ish, and a Roman candle of pink light, like out of a Disney CGI graphics thing. A pink plume of light shot through my floor into the ceiling and then showed up a foot later. And I heard a "Ta-da, I'm Joy." And that was her introduction to me. And it made my jaw drop. And I literally could not stop thinking about it for 3 days. I was like, what just happened? Oh my God. But it was a very cool Disney experience. So that's something I'd love to share.
That's really cool because I've always said, I'm okay if you want to open me up for certain things, but I don't want to see dead people because I just don't think I'm ready for that. But I did say, but I'm okay seeing angels. And so I'll tell you, one time I woke up, and I haven't spoken about this. I woke up at 3 in the morning. A lot of times people wake up at that time because they're, getting the little whisper, the nudge, and I saw in the mirror a being holding a candle. And I thought immediately, oh my gosh, I left a candle burning and I went to sleep and I didn't blow it out. So I'm looking and there's no candle. There's only a being in the mirror holding a candle. And she was wearing a white sweatshirt. And I mean, it was just like, wait, what? And then I was looking where it would have been. And there was nothing there. She was only in the mirror. And I just felt this peace and the smile. But I mean, I literally did like a movie, Mike. I was like, I covered myself and I was like, go away. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. There's no sick, icky feeling. It's just loving feeling. So what am I scared of? And I kind of looked back and there she was, just smiling, beaming. And it was just like, oh my goodness. When you realize you're not dreaming and you're awake and you're seeing this like you with Joy, like, boom, hi, I'm Joy. You probably still remember the exact color and everything about that encounter, don't you?
I had an angel named Charlotte show up at a Starbucks. I'm meeting my book editor for Glow Stick Zen. It's a really long book. Get the short little one instead, 15-minute read. Instead of Glow Stick Zen, listening to angels. But I'm at a Starbucks and I'm sitting at a tall round table with my book editor, but a woman dressed. Austin, Texas has a lot of different vibes, a lot of different communities, from oil to cowboys to you name it. But no one's dressed like Santa Fe, New Mexico. White garment, elegant, but she's facing the wrong way. If you're at the window in Starbucks, you're supposed to people watch and look out. She's focused on us, staring at me, drinking our coffee. And that was Charlotte and Angel, just trying to leave sort of an imprint. I
Mhm.
ask the important questions, not who killed Kennedy. When you ask angels, you can ask them anything, get any answers, all languages, all dialects. It's personal to you. I don't have to see your questions or answers. I ask the important questions. When she was here, full on human, which you can request, did she drink the coffee? The answer is yes.
Mhm. And how did you know Charlotte was an angel?
Um, just new over time. Plus, I'm the type that has to check with 7 or 8 other people. I'm slow on the uptake, but I'm super fast teacher like that. Again, what takes me years to do, you just did before the show, like that, looking like an old hand, which you are. So it was Charlotte's way of just showing up at the time. And there's been other angels in my life, Sweden, Maui, elsewhere, who have shown up. And also, you can get, if you're intuitive, you're sensitive, you're at that point where you're paying attention, you can get awfully scrambled in a good way. And I would just say, if you're an adult about this, which many people are, ask them for a cup of coffee, go sit down with some really sparkly eyed strangers, have
Yes,
some fun, chat back and forth about your life, where you want to go, get some direct advice. It's a lot more possible today than it was before.
exactly. And when you start, as Dr. Mary Neal told me, when you start acknowledging that those signs and signals are happening, they will happen so often that you can't possibly deny their existence. It's like the law of probabilities can't possibly explain it. So being open to that, I mean, just before we sat down to have our Zoom, I was out walking and I was literally thinking of Dr. Mary Neal and how she said every time she sees a penny, she thinks, am I trusting that God is putting me where I'm needed to be? In God we trust. And I think of pennies from heaven, my grandmother Virginia, and I kid you not, like cut to right down in the grass, sparkling right back up at me, a copper penny that I think I even put in my coat pocket. It's in my coat pocket, but I was so blown away at how perfect, shiny, amazing that was, right on cue as I was thinking about her. And so they really are listening and they're just waiting to show off. I tell people all the time, they're waiting to show off so that they can collaborate with you on your intentions and make sure that you are lighter and brighter. And like you always talk about, being in that joyful happiness. Even in the sessions with you, you're cracking jokes because you know the frequency of laughter takes you out of your head and into your heart, doesn't it?
It does. I'll mention laughter in just 1 second, but the letting go that's involved, just asking for signs or asking for a good sleep, you're letting go to fall asleep at night or to just brush your teeth, is the degree of difficulty we're talking about. It's the same letting go for letting angels show up in human form. No difference. So letting go is letting go. Your details, yes, they matter at a technical, tactical, and practical level. You want to know your answers. You can have all your answers. But there's a greater letting go that just means taking a breath,
Right.
understanding that you're not up here anymore and you're more appreciative, gratitude, allowing, all that stuff. Finally, Joy, the angel Joy, she has a great reminder. Your laughter is healing and hope to others, even strangers around you who you might not realize are hearing your laughter. So, I mean, laughter, smiling, breathing, there's a million ways into your heart. Laughter is such a great exercise. You're not taking yourself, your situation, or other situations external too seriously.
No, absolutely. All right. End it with one of your favorites. You used several good jokes when we were having our conversation. So pick one. Pick one,
Sure.
anyone.
Santa's reindeer, Blitzen Dancer, just those two. No one needs to remember who these two reindeer are. But why do Blitzen and Dancer drink so much coffee? Because they're Santa's Starbucks.
See, there we go. We better get them to sponsor your YouTube channel or something, or this podcast,
Agreed.
because we've given them enough airplay. Michael Andre Ford, if you want to learn more about Michael, go to his website and obviously get the book. We were talking about that, Listening to Angels, available for just $7.99, which is a bargain. Obviously, more to come as well on his website. There is art that you can purchase, and you can also have one-on-one. Just click on the tabs and start to learn more and absorb Michael's story. Thank you for all the good work that you're doing, all the conversations that you're having. It's really important stuff. And I'm just thrilled that we could have you on this community and be part of the Spiritual Social Club. We keep growing and the tentacles keep getting bigger. So thank you, Mike, for being part of this tribe. It's really been a pleasure.
Thank you, Jen.